right. Good evening, everyone. Good evening. Gentlemen.
Good evening.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the November 2024 edition of Vicksburg's Planning Commission meeting. Time is 7 p.m. and I will call this meeting to order. Secretary Cox, could you please take roll call attendance for us?
Member Bailey?
Here.
Member Ball?
Member Cox is here.
Member Riashi?
Here.
Member Blankenhorn?
Here.
Member Kissinger?
Here.
Chairman Schenkel?
Present. Thank you. All right. Trust everyone has had time to review this evening's agenda, and there are no comments or changes. I'll call for a motion to approve this evening's agenda.
This is Member Riashi. Motion to approve the agenda.
We have a motion from Member Riashi. Do we have support for that motion?
Member Kissinger, second.
Support from Kissinger. Any further discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Thank you. This time we will open it up for citizen comments. There are no citizens present, so we are going to move to approval of minutes from the September meeting. Again, trust everyone has had time to review the meeting minutes from our September 9th agenda. And do we have October's? Is that going to be?
I think we have an error. I think we attached October.
Yeah, these are actually
These are
the
October's.
October minutes.
Thank you.
October 14th.
Sorry about that.
I only read what's in front of me.
These are October 14th.
All right, October 14th. All right,
Member Kissinger, make a motion to approve the October 14th meeting minutes.
motion from Member Kissinger. Do we have support for that motion?
This is Member Blankenhorn. I support.
Thank you. Any further discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Thank you. And we are off to our Planning Commission action items. We have a presentation from Kyle Mucha regarding the rezoning of 114 East Park Commercial to residential, request of owner. Thank you, Kyle.
Thank you, Mr. Schenkel. So the village has received an application from the property owner, Steve McGowan, seeking to rezone 114 East Park Street from C2 commercial back to R2 residential. As background, some members of the commission may recall a few years ago, we actually approved the rezoning to go from residential to commercial in the anticipation, I believe, that he was going to expand his business operation on that site. That is so far not his indication anymore. So he's seeking to rezone back to residential in this regard. The two properties, the parking lot at unaddressed, and then 409 South Main Street will remain commercial and continue to be operated as a commercial entity. It is the parcel that is highlighted in red on the front page of our memo that is a residential component or a residential structure that he seeks to move back to the R2 classification. There is surrounding this area predominantly residential structures in use in nature outside of the two C2 properties that are not under consideration. Within our ordinance, we don't really, Mr. Schenkel, have any set standards for rezoning requests. So what we pull from is the Michigan Association of Planning's guidelines for rezonings. Number one being under current zoning, can the question? Question? No, yeah, I want to stop. There's questions. I want to.
Yep, sorry.
No, you're good.
Please continue.
Sure. So under the first one being under current zoning, can the property be used, developed? Current zoning for this site is C2 commercial. Doing our analysis, we did note that it would be a small property to remain commercial for any potential uses that are permitted within that C2 district. So while it could still be used and developed under the C2, it is more appropriate for moving it back to the residential category. Number two, consistency with the goals, policies, and future land use plan of the master plan. Master plan calls for that parcel in question, 114 East Park Street, to be residential. So this rezoning request is supported by our master plan. 3, capabilities of site size and environmental conditions to accommodate use. It's our understanding that this has been predominantly a residential use for, close to 100 years when it was constructed in the 1920s. Therefore, we don't feel that any additional environmental conditions would be impacted by reverting this classification back to a residential component. 4, capability with surrounding land uses. Again, the surrounding land uses are predominantly residential in nature, outside of the funeral home and the associated parking lot, so it would be consistent with the surrounding land uses. Availability and capacity of public streets, utilities, and services. We didn't find that any impact on public streets, utilities, and services would be negatively impacted by, in essence, downzoning from a higher classification of commercial to residential. 6, demand for the use and appropriateness of location. I put this just in for the commission's benefit. There is a report out from the Kalamazoo County study indicating in 2022 there are over 7,750 single-family home or units deficiency in the county. So converting this back to a residential component would help alleviate some of that deficiency throughout the county. So there is a demonstrated need for this type of use. And then any other factors that may be pertinent to the request. We leave that in there in case there's anything that comes up during a public hearing that should be addressed. At this time, I didn't find any other pertinent requests. It had already been R2 previously before it was rezoned in 2021. Owner seeking to go back to the R2 district, which is in compliance with our master plan.
How often do you run across a change in zoning and then reverting back to the original zoning?
It's not an everyday common occurrence, Mr. Chair, but it is items that do happen. If plans fall forward or are no longer executed, or something more viable comes forward, there is a potential with that regard. So it's not, I don't see it every week, but it's not uncommon either. So
the other part of this is, what I hear you saying is, this is actually a good zone for this property to be in the R2 zone.
correct.
And it's the recommended one.
Yes, sir.
And so my assumption would be that if the landowner were to come back and evaluate or want to change that again, are we kind of looking at this as precedent, or I guess I'm kind of getting flipped and flopped back and forth here?
Sure. So the owner has indicated to staff, and I'll let Mr. Mallory indicate further, that he is seeking to convert this use back to residential.
Right.
They have, the owner has a purchase agreement for the property in question for residential with a commitment. It's contingent on it being residential because the person purchasing wants to use it strictly for residential.
Okay. So the likelihood of this happening again is
Yeah,
almost zero.
and it would not be something we support to move back again.
Okay.
There was the parcel was surveyed and lot line adjustments so that it can meet everything, prepping for that sale.
Okay. Any other questions from the commission? All right. At this time, we are going to enter into a public hearing, and we will need to have a motion to go into that public hearing, roll call vote to enter into that public hearing. We'll hear citizen comments, any additional planning commission member comments, and then we will return back to our regularly scheduled programming. So I will call for a motion to enter into a public hearing.
Member Riashi, motion to enter this into a public hearing.
All right, we have a motion from member Riashi. Do we have support for that motion?
Bailey, support.
Support from Bailey. Secretary Cox, will you please take a roll call vote?
Member Bailey?
Yes.
Member DeVault?
Yes.
Member Riashi?
Yes.
Member Blankenhorn?
Yes.
Member Kissinger?
Yes.
Member Cox is a yes. And Chairman Schenkel?
Yes. At this time, we will open it up for citizen comments. Once again, there are no citizens present. So are there any additional comments from planning commission members?
Just confirming with the clerk, we did not receive any comments.
No, we did not.
Okay.
Thank you. Any comments from,
Did the owner give a reason why they weren't gonna expand the building or expand the business into that?
We didn't get into that detail for.
any further comments? All right, I will now close the public hearing. Do we need a roll call vote for that? Yeah, all right. Well, we're gonna have to take a motion for that. So a motion to close the public hearing.
Member Cox, I motion to close the public hearing.
Motion from member Cox,
Support from Blankenhorn.
support from Plankenhorn, and roll call vote from Secretary Cox, please.
Member Bailey? Yes. Member DeVault?
Yes.
Member Riyashi?
Yes.
Member Blankenhorn?
Yes.
Member Kissinger?
Yes, sorry.
Member Cox is a yes. Chairman Schenkel?
Yes. All right.
Microphone difficulties over here.
And last thing is the last item on here is a recommendation from Planning Commission to Village Council for the rezoning of this property. We'll need a motion for this and a roll call vote as well. So I will call for that motion at this time.
Steve Alt, I make a motion that we support the change from 114 East Park from C2 to residential R2 to present it to the council.
We have a motion from member DeBalt. Do we have support for that motion?
Support, Member Yashi?
Support from Riyashi. Secretary Cox, will you please take a roll call vote?
Member Bailey?
Yes.
Member DeVault?
Yes.
Member Cox is a yes. Member Riyashi?
Yes.
Member Blankenhorn?
Yes.
Member Kissinger?
Yes.
Chairman Schenkel?
Yes. All right. Thank you, Kyle. All right, on to our DDA agenda for this evening, and I will turn it over to Staff Member Mallory.
Yes, it's just highlighting the events that are coming up, starting with Christmas in the Village. Tomorrow we'll start a marketing on social media and our text messaging list as well as email list. Put out some downtown A-frames highlighting December 14th, a full day of family activities starting at noon, and then highlighted by the start at 6 p.m. of the Christmas in the Berg Parade. We also, Member DeBalt will help out with some flyers that'll be going up at the local businesses to highlight that day, and then you can see the dates of the other events and festivals scheduled up and through August of 2025. So we're looking forward to that. We are going to, part of the messaging tomorrow will be if people want to participate in the Christmas card lane, individuals, families, and/or businesses, and that can be from outside the village of Vicksburg as well. Last year, we had about 4,000 trips through the historic village for Christmas card lane, and we'll, for the next 10 days, be taking those if people want to participate in that. I think last year we had 70 right around Christmas cards, so it's really expanded over the past 4 years, and we look forward to it. But be happy to answer any questions at all.
Jim, have we ever tied this into a nonprofit at all as far as a season of giving? Have we ever done any Toys for Tots, for attending, or maybe is there any way to partner with a local nonprofit, family giving, something like that?
The Christmas card lane?
Or Christmas in the Berg?
We have not, and I don't think there's anything that would stop us from.
Yeah, I think that there's
exploring
an
that. It might be a little
opportunity.
bit late in this season to figure that out. Obvious, a local, the South County Community Services comes immediately to the mind at the top of the list with the amount of people that they help in Vicksburg and South County. It's something we can look into.
Yeah, if I were to take the lead on that and make a couple of calls and see if
Yeah.
it's too late, is that?
Yeah, and I see, and what your suggestion of a donation of Toys for Tots or whatever.
Sure.
Because it is December 14th.
Yeah, I just think it might just, you know, I mean, with the amount of people that are trafficking, you know.
Yeah,
that, you know, are
absolutely.
coming through
Appreciate
here.
any
Well,
help if you
trafficking
want
is
to
the
make
wrong
a
word, but,
calls and
yeah.
let me know if we should
I
follow
mean,
up on that.
I'll take the lead on that.
I had a question, Jim. How did the advertisement packet for the whole season next year, have we gotten some traction on that?
Yeah, we, right now, I think are around $22,000 or $23,000 in hand, contributions. We'll hopefully by the end of next week be putting out the, platinum and different level diamond and platinum sponsors to that program. But we're on pace. Last year in total, we were close to $40,000 once it was all said and done, so we will continue that.
Thank you.
When does that end? When are you expecting all of those?
Oh,
to
it
be-
goes every day. We'll accept donations to that
Okay.
program. But the sooner the better
Okay.
is what we would like to put out there.
I'm just asking because I know you have things listed in the A-frames, and when do you get those printed? You know how you have your sponsors?
Yeah, that's why the back of the A-frames are blank. I'm waiting for
You're waiting for
the
the checks.
printer, if you will, is on notice that I'll want a one-day turnaround once we get those listed.
Nice.
Just a note on that too, Jim, we should have a few more bigger sponsorships coming in this week that have been touched to me.
Yeah, the number I cited at, I think it's 22, is in hand already. We have multiple verbal commitments in that, but, so, yeah,
I talked to a couple today, that I reached back out to the flyers that I dropped off to people, they're, oh yeah, that's right, I gotta get back to you, I'm like, I'm just dropping off window pictures, and so we should be receiving a few more this week, so when, at the end of the week, hopefully you'll have your, like you said, your platinum and your silver and your gold sponsorships.
yeah, we'll be sending out an email on, I think it's scheduled Wednesday afternoon, listing like a deadline, at least to make the, marketing information for Christmas in the Burg. If someone subsequent to that wanted to donate, we have these other opportunities. But I tell you, the community's amazing in its tithing. I think it's been highlighted at multiple meetings in the past on the community. It is, what I've found, just, it's the most uncomfortable thing I do. I'm not good at asking people to donate, but I certainly appreciate those that come forward and do, because it's certainly needed on these events that really have a pretty wide reach now and have helped Vicksburg, so.
Jim, I noticed that we're keeping the Iceberg Festival on here. Who kind of owns that now?
We do as a village, we'll be relying on downtown merchants. We'll pretty up until about the first week of December, finalizing the Christmas in the Burg, and then, but we've already reserved the ice sculptures, and other things for the, February 22nd event, and then we'll be looking to put together a core 6 or 8 downtown businesses, because I think a component of that will to become a full-day retail type experience downtown to make it successful.
Yeah. Well, personally, I'm glad to see it come back.
Yeah.
You just gotta hope it's not 50 degrees. It has been in the past. Well, it has been nice, yes, just not for this.
Good. Any further questions for staff regarding Downtown Development Authority?
The only other thing I'd note is I anticipate this is a fiscal year in which we're gonna be putting out an RFP to update the Downtown Development Authority plan, which is a 5-year plan. I do anticipate that, I'm hopeful that that will be in front of the council on November 18th. And it'll be packaged with the Parks and Rec RFP to be listed. We finalized an RFP for marketing that incorporates a new website and different aspects. So hopefully we can get that done and in front of the DDA in December and council in front of in January and start that process. So.
Great, thank you. All right. Do you have anything else to add, village manager, on the agenda?
Since you asked, one thing, we're trying to, behind R&R, and John might help me out, it was a year or two ago that we had approved a grant to add some landscaping in greenery. They had submitted that grant between the railroad and their business. They went, because of the planting season, went in, planted to the specifications of that grant. So in talking to the ownership there, I asked them to send me the invoice, and I was gonna look at the grant that had been previously approved, look at the finances in the balance, and could very well, I anticipate, come back to this board in December when I have that information finalized, if staff's gonna recommend to award that, based on, I think it was within the last 2 years that we had approved that.
It was on the south side of the building between the parking lot and
Yes.
the railroad.
All right, any member comments from this planning commission?
Member Kissinger here. I did want to voice the council's thanks for our committee taking on the task of rezoning. We did a big chunk in our last meeting, and most of the council members, including myself. So I didn't pat myself on the back too much, but thank this board for what they've done with the rezoning. If you didn't watch the meeting, because I know you all did.
I'll second that. I understand that in my absence, Member Bishop did a great job working through all of those motions, and yeah, I appreciate him covering for me in a meeting where there's a lot of action items and things to work through. Yeah, it was nuts. Jim, this kind of question always kind of crops up every few months or so. I'm just kind of curious if there's any status update on the mill. I feel like we kind of go longer periods of time without kind of hearing much on the status of what that project is. And
yeah, the project's certainly moving forward, and that team, most recently though, has been focused on what we have described as the Hills building renovation, and it's pretty large scope to start with, and it has grown if you've seen the rehabilitation of those buildings downtown. So probably since August, they've really been focused downtown, and to get that into a position at least that we can open up the sidewalk for Christmas in the Berg. But the mill, I had a meeting with the developer and members of his team probably, and certainly within the last month, on some timing issues of different governmental agreements and that we'd have to get to, so.
yeah. Well, being a member of that planning commission, going through and creating the planned unit development, would love to just stay abreast of what their plans are. And I think there has been a lot of excitement behind that project, and probably staying communicative with the community would be a good thing and behoove them as well. So appreciate your updates, but it'd be nice to have a little bit more of a forward-facing approach on their end as well.
No, and I don't want to get out ahead of the council, but I would anticipate, well, certainly within the first half of '25, significant updates will come. Yeah, certainly within the first 6 months, and I would not be shocked if that was in the first 4 months of '25, those announcements coming.
Great.
I just want to say thanks to all the businesses during the Halloween night. We don't advertise anything in this village for that, but I'll tell you what, there was over 550 to 600 kids. No kidding. Downtown that Thursday night. Granted, the school was closed on Friday, so everybody was. I'm sure, Rachel, it was a busy night for you guys that night, because
Our candy bucket just got put outside because,
it was a fun night.
yeah.
The weather was great, and it was another nice fall thing in the village.
Yeah.
So it just shows what people are doing with our village.
Yep. Good. Any further comments? All right. Nice tidy meeting tonight. Call this meeting to adjournment is 7:26. Secretary Cox, thank you.